Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the book Behind Closed Doors. This is by B.A. Paris. I came across this book thanks to a book trade that I did with Kat from Kat's Bookend, and I will leave her channel linked down below. She was nice enough to send this book to me after she raved about it on her YouTube channel. I am a big fan of thrillers, and I don't think that's a secret. Even though I had seen Kat's review, so much had happened between watching it and beginning this book that I had kind of initially forgot what she had said. And so I fell into the same trap that I think everybody will upon reading it. When you first start reading this book, you think to yourself, like, I know where this is going. You know, this is another one of those battered, abused wives that need to try to get away from their horrible husband. I've had a lot of those lately. I feel like the market is pretty saturated with domestic thrillers at this point. And so I was a little bit disappointed. And instead of being smart and going back and reminding myself what Kat's review said, I sat there thinking, well, I know where this is going, in kind of a cocky way. And I shouldn't have, because I was wrong, because it's not where this is going, even though I guarantee you'll think that's where this is going. It opens with a dinner party where Grace and Jack, this perfect couple, are hosting some other friends of theirs, friends and work colleagues, and immediately you know that there's something up with Jack and Grace's marriage. Everything appears perfect, but the problem is it appears a little bit too perfect. And you find out that Grace often cancels meeting up with these other women, and as she's narrating to us, she's saying things like, I pulled this off, I did everything perfectly, and we get the impression that something must happen if she doesn't do everything perfectly. So right away you're getting a real sleeping with the enemy vibe here, and turns out it's like sleeping with the enemy on crack. Now the book is written in first person perspective from Grace's point of view, and it alternates between present and past. So like I said, it opens with a dinner party in the present time, and then throughout subsequent chapters Grace updates us on exactly how her and Jack got together and exactly where she was in her life at the time and what led her to be so taken with somebody like Jack. Grace has a younger sister, considerably younger sister, who suffers from Down syndrome. And at the beginning of the book, she is living at a boarding school that specializes in working with people, young people with her condition. And so she's very happy and everything's great. And then, you know, Jack comes along. He's willing to help Grace shoulder, you know, any burden, financial, emotional, that might come from taking care of her younger sister forever, because the parents want absolutely nothing to do with her. That was something that I also wasn't expecting. This book isn't just about Grace. In fact, this book is about Grace's suffering. However, what we learn is that Millie, the younger sister, is pretty much the focal point here. It's pretty much all about her. The present and past tense dance that we do throughout this book is another thing that's kind of starting to get a little bit old for me. What I loved about that dance in this book is that we're standing still and the author keeps alternating between past and present right through us, to the point where instead of us being in the present, instead of us knowing what's going on in the present, at the end of the book, we're in the past. Does that make any sense? Like, she skips solving it all for us and goes to the future. so that what we really need to know is in the past instead of at the beginning of the book, what we really need to know is in the future. I don't know if I'm articulating that quite right, but it's the first time that I've seen it done that way and done well. And so I was really impressed by that and really kind of struck. If it has happened before, it wasn't memorable to me. The only other thing that would prevent me from giving this like an absolute rave review is the amount of dialogue that the book contains. Most of what you're going to read is dialogue, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's not how I like a book. Basically, it's a personal preference for me. I would rather read description, and I would rather read events, through a character's eyes. I want to hear observations made by the character and some internalized feelings and impressions instead of just playing kind of like watching a tennis match of back and forth dialogue all the way through the book. This is a good book. I really like this book. Like Kat, I think I would err on about 4 stars for it. She has different reasons than I do. But that's the only thing that probably kept it from being a 5er for me, is just the amount of dialogue. Now, the things that Jack does to Grace, they are some of the most unbelievably messed up things. Like, I never thought that I would be okay, or like I never thought that physical abuse would be so minor compared to what our main character, compared to what Grace is subjected to. Like, as the reader, you're almost thinking to yourself, like, God, if he would just hit her, it wouldn't be as bad. Like, it wouldn't have been as bad if he would have just hit her. I mean, that's how messed up and deranged and absolutely psychotic and sociopathic this guy is. It's crazy. It's crazy. And some of the things, these are definitely things that I never would have considered, that I never saw coming. There was only one thing that he did that was truly, truly hard for me to read. Most of it was just playing with her mind. Most of it was just making sure that she was always off kilter and never got used to a routine and never knew what to expect from him. And they played the most beautiful mind games with each other. Like, he would anticipate what she would do, and then he could catch her in the act. Like, it was such a mind fuck. That's the only thing I can say. I have tried really hard not to go there on this channel, but I mean, that is what this guy does to her constantly. My favorite part of this book are like the last 3 pages. I'm not even kidding. And I'm not going to tell you, this is a spoiler-free review. I pride myself on keeping my mouth shut. So I'm not going to tell you anything that transpires in the last 3 pages. But I will tell you that after going through the gauntlet with these characters, the last 3 pages are so emotionally satisfying. And it's not what you think. It's nothing, to do with the actual wrap-up of the book. There's just something that happens at the end that's so emotionally satisfying that my fiance does not read fiction. And So when I read a book, I tell him all about it from beginning to end, every little detail. He gets all the spoilers because he's never going to read this shit anyway. He doesn't like reading fiction. And the last 3 pages of this book are so emotionally powerful that when I was retelling it to him a day after finishing the book, I was getting chills. Like, I was like, oh, like, it still is that affecting. I read it once, I went back and reread it, and then a day later, when I was retelling it, I was still getting chills because it was wonderful. So, in a nutshell, when you pick up this book and you start reading it, you're going to think it's just another cliche. You're going to think it's just one of those books that we're all so familiar with in the thriller genre these days that you're going to be like, oh man, do I want to read another one of these? And I promise you, it's not that book. It's going to seem like it, but I promise you, it's not that book. And it won't take you very long to realize it. You know, the first 100 pages, you're aware. You're aware that this is completely different. I'm not even going to compare it to anything. I was reading the back, like 2016's answer, Gone Girl. No, this book is not like Gone Girl. That's another thing I'm tired of. Like, can we stop comparing shit to Gone Girl or Girl on the Train? Let's just stop, because yeah, they were cool. They were different. They were exciting. There's other things out there, and this is another one of those things. So I'm very happy that I've, made friends with Kat, and that she was willing to share this book experience with me. Thank you very much, Kat. Please do check out her channel below. And if you have any questions, or if you have read Behind Closed Doors, leave your thoughts, opinions, all that yummy stuff down in the comment section below. I would be happy to discuss this book further with you. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, you guys. I will see you all very soon.